Hello coaches, welcome back to another Modern Soccer Coach Breakdown. This week we are going to look at how to get a stronger connection between training and the game in terms of scoring goals, how to create situations that can get deliberate practice for our centre forwards in game-like situations so they can take them into the match and be effective. 3 ideas on that. As always, if you enjoy and you want the breakdowns for free, you can get them on the link below, modernsoccercoach.com. If you enjoy the work, as always, please please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any more. All right, goal scoring and training, let's go. Okay, as always, we start these breakdowns with an objective or a reason or a why. And the reason for this one is that sometimes it's a little bit difficult to do tactical sessions and work on tactics and then get that element of goal scoring, which usually involves repetition. So there's a recent Overlap interview. It's one of my favourite shows. Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, Wayne Rooney was on, and of course Ian Wright and Roy Keane. And Ian Wright and Roy Keane were talking about training session design. If you do 11v11 work and the centre forward doesn't get enough repetition, then you set up position-specific exercises, which if you want some exercise ideas, we've got them for an ebook below. I'm a big fan of position-specific work. But what Ian Wright was saying was, you set that aside afterwards and that's great. What Roy Keane, though, was arguing was, yeah, but that can't be the main thing. You can't get no shots in a training game and then all of a sudden go and get 50 shots in an unopposed training exercise. So the challenge here is not whether we pick one or the other. The challenge here is how do we do a little bit of both? How do we get that repetition and that work and the position-specific work afterwards? And then how we also get more reps in actual training tactical scenarios. So we're going to look at 3 tactical scenarios that you can modify here and get your forwards more repetition in front of goal so that the forwards finish the training with some opposed work, and then maybe after this you get the ebook on the link below and then you do some more unopposed work so that the forwards going in to the game on a Saturday confident and with a lot of repetition ready to get in those situations and score goals. 3 exercises, here we go. Okay, exercise 1, we are going to look at a traditional tactical exercise where you're looking at maybe you're working on a team's defensive shape, and as always you'll have the 3 goals at the halfway line and there's defending in a block, and maybe you don't have a centre forward and you're keeping the forward out of it, but we're looking at these examples of how to maybe get the forward more reps. So here could be a way of how you do that. You change the setup of the exercise and you add a zone behind with a goalkeeper. So now you have a server and the exercise starts with a pass. Instead of the pass to the attacking team, now starts with a pass to the centre forward who's got to shoot on goal with a first time finish. Then immediately after the pass, the server plays into the attacking team who now look to build and score in that 10v9 situation on one half of the pitch. After the shot, the centre forward can sprint back into the game and can join in, and if they defend quickly, they can create a 10v10 defensively. And coaches can also adapt this service and maybe bring in a wide player to serve for that centre forward. But a different look at how to organise just from a 3 goal at the halfway line, how to add an element of attacking to the defensive team and especially to that centre forward. So maybe they don't disengage or maybe they don't spend the whole session standing out watching it. A good idea, a simple idea, but a highly effective one that can get players thinking. Okay, our second exercise will look at coaching the attacking team in a situation, tactical situation. But this time, it may be a case where your centre forward is playing up front by themselves and they don't get a lot of reps because their movement is going to create spaces for other players. So how do you get more reps for the centre forward in this situation when they're in the attacking team? Well, we now change the exercise where we put a server alongside the goal. So now, after every attack, each attack finishes, regardless of the outcome, whether it was a goal or not, the server is playing a ball across the 6-yard box or maybe to the penalty spot to that centre forward to finish from close range. So every rep involves a finish to the centre forward after the attack finishes. Coaches can adapt the service, coaches can move into wide areas, or they can even give the centre forward a shot clock to finish that second ball. If they want to progress it, you could even add a defensive action where they can try and block it. But again, it just adds maybe 10, finishes a game inside that 20-15 minute time slot that can make a huge difference, because it's a game-like scenario that you're trying to recreate as well. And then the third idea is a transition moment. So now you're playing 11v11, again, a training game that maybe you're working on a collective emphasis on the team, but this aspect, maybe there's not a lot of moments where the number 9 is getting those reps in transition. Again, you want to control that. You don't want to play for an hour long and maybe see if they appear. This time you want to control it, so a coach can hold 1 or 2 balls and walk around the pitch. Now it's 11v11 game. When the coach sees the scenario that they're looking for, they play a ball into the centre forward, and the first ball becomes redundant and the second ball is the live ball. So now a new ball replaces the initial one, and now that number 9 gets a specific look in transition. Coaches can incentivize the goal if it's scored in transition to maybe add a little bit more pressure from the run, supporting runs that the number 9 is going to need. But these moments of transition, again, because they're so intense and because transition is such a high volume of physical demands, maybe as a coach you want to control more of that, because again, you don't want the session going for 35-45 minutes in order to bring out the situations that you're looking for. Transition is so difficult in 11v11 games to control, but this is a good way, just where you have one ball for the game that's regular and then another ball for the moment you're looking for, and then one takes over the other, and you can manage that there to create the situations that you're looking for. So there we go, coaches, just some ideas about how to modify training exercises, tactical exercises that usually focus on the collective, how to get some more repetition within those exercises. As always, a lot of it comes down to the creativity of the coach. If you look at an exercise and you think that this exercise covers everything, I would argue that you're probably not really looking at it critically enough. Most exercises, although they focus on something and they're really good at focusing on an emphasis on a certain aspect of the game, they're great, but majority, all exercises overlook something. And that's why there's no perfect exercise. So having variety in training means that you can try to get a little bit of this more or a little bit of that more, or maybe certain player needs a little bit more repetition in certain aspects, as well as the position specific individual work that you're probably doing afterwards. So it's about looking at training exercises and thinking, okay, how do we shape that? But ultimately it comes down to the coach's ability to look at exercises and think, what if we did this? What if we did that? And sometimes I think that with so much information in coaching today, it's easy to look at an exercise, and we share a lot of stuff from professional coaches. It's easy to say, all right, Xabi Alonso does that, I'm going to do that there. But he's working with a different team in a different context, and you're working with a different team who might be at different stages of development as well. So they might need a little bit more in certain areas. Professional teams are set up with a massive support staff as well. You might be working by yourself, and that comes with a lot of challenges. But being creative with your session design, I can't stress that point enough. All the exercises we show today are not rocket science in terms of what they do. It just opens it up slightly. Maybe they're unorthodox. Unorthodox is fine. Creativity is great. When you're working with players, don't be afraid to try different things and experiment with session design. It doesn't all have to be 11v11, 4 minutes. Okay, that's great. That was the game. But it might not be the game that you want to play on a Saturday, and it might not be the game that your players want to play on a Saturday. They might want more high-tempo game, and creating high-tempo in training, a lot of it comes down to breaking down the mundane aspects of it and try to add a little bit more creativity and spark and inspire a little bit more of that there. So I hope you enjoy it. As always, I really appreciate the support. Please like and subscribe before you go, and if you want the dimensions and all the breakdowns of these exercises, plus much more, please check them out, modernsoccercoach.com. Thank you so much as always. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.